My name is Emma, and I'm a 20-year-old university student living in New York. I grew up in a family that went through its share of changes. My parents got divorced when I was 14, and I've lived with my mom ever since. Things got even tougher last year when my dad, who I was very close to, passed away from cancer. He left me a significant amount of money in his will, but I could only access it when I turned 20. This year, I reached that milestone, and not long after, something pretty unbelievable happened. One afternoon, my stepdad, Justin, who is in his mid-30s and has been married to my mom for the last 6 years, asked to talk to me. Our relationship has always been a bit strained. I try to keep things peaceful, but he's not always been the kindest to me. He started the conversation with a heavy topic. He suggested that I give the money my dad left me to my stepbrother, Michael, to help with his college expenses. According to Justin, Michael needed the money more for his education, and it seemed only fair to him that I help out. I was taken aback by his request. The idea of giving away the money my dad left for me felt wrong. I tried to explain to Justin that this inheritance was something my dad intended for me, and it felt important to keep it for my future. But Justin didn't see my point of view. He insisted that I didn't need the money and that Michael's needs were greater. Despite his pressure, I stood my ground. I calmly explained to Justin that saying no wasn't about disrespect. It was about honoring my dad's wishes and maintaining personal boundaries. Justin got quite upset at my refusal and tried to intimidate me, but I remained firm in my decision. It was a challenging conversation, but it was important for me to speak up for what I felt was right. I stood firm, making it clear that if Justin was upset by my refusal, he might want to reconsider his approach. Justin, remember, you're part of his household too, so let's try to keep things respectful, I suggested. But it seemed like a peaceful resolution wasn't in the cards. I ended the conversation there, leaving before he had the chance to respond. Justin's reaction wasn't a shock to me. Given his past behavior, I had a hunch he might try to claim the inheritance money for himself at some point. You might wonder about my mom's role in all of this. Well, that's a complex issue. My mom, for reasons I can't fully understand, always seems to overlook Justin's negative traits. She's deeply in love with him, almost to the point of blindness, and I didn't want to shatter her perception by constantly clashing with Justin. So I've tried to maintain peace for her sake. It's odd, considering I'm one of the youngest in the house, yet often I find myself having to be the most responsible. At the time of this ordeal, my mom, Mary, was out of town, which is why she wasn't around to intervene. Had she been there, she would have been livid. Justin knew he had a window of opportunity with her away, underestimating my resolve in the process. As I walked away from our heated discussion, Justin followed, berating me and labeling me a terrible sister for not wanting to hand over the inheritance to Michael. But it wasn't about not wanting to help. It was about the principle of the matter. Justin and Michael, unfortunately, seemed to follow the like father, like son trope, acting more like schemers from a cartoon than family members. Their antics could remind someone of the characters Pinky and the Brain, with their roles in this scenario up for debate. As I tried to leave the argument behind, Justin wasn't done. He insisted I listen and comply with his demands, bringing Michael into the conversation to reinforce his point. Michael sleepily joined in, confused about the details until Justin prompted him about the important reason behind their demand for the money, a supposed business venture that suddenly became about Michael's university tuition. Their story was inconsistent, with Justin scrambling to justify their claim to my inheritance, first mentioning a business, then switching to tuition. It was clear their motives were murky at best, relying on manipulation rather than any real need or right to the money my dad left me. I just woke up, so I'm a bit foggy, Michael mumbled, trying to piece together his story. Right, the university. I've been thinking about going, and I need the money for that. So yeah, I need it. His attempt to claim the inheritance for his education was unconvincing at best. I couldn't help but respond with a firm no, prompting a flurry of protests from both him and Justin. "Why not, Emma? He's clear about what he wants," Justin pressed, insisting the matter was non-negotiable and that they were entitled to the money. "We'll just have to see about that," I replied, the air growing thick with tension. Justin's antics were usually limited to harmless pranks, but this new scheme to manipulate me out of my inheritance marked a departure into outright selfishness and immaturity. I decided to hold off on telling my mom for the time being, preferring to handle the situation on my own, especially after uncovering more about their dubious intentions. "Emma, stop being childish. It's time to act like an adult and do what's right," Justin lectured, suggesting that the adult thing to do was to hand over my inheritance. His logic was baffling. "And what, Justin? The right thing is to give away my inheritance on your say-so?" I countered. His plea to keep this from my mom raised my suspicions further. Why shouldn't I tell her? She has every right to know what's happening in her own house. Justin's desperation not to involve my mom, paired with his uncharacteristically stern tone, only fueled my resolve. Something was definitely amiss, particularly with the so-called business venture Michael had mentioned earlier. It was clear they underestimated my awareness of their tactics, and Justin's vehement opposition to me sharing anything with my mom was a red flag. I reached out to my mom at the first opportunity. "Hey Mom, how's everything with you?" I began, trying to gauge her mood. "I'm all right, dear. What about you?" she responded. I hesitated, knowing what I was about to divulge could cause a stir. "Not great, Mom. Something's up with Justin and Michael Justin in particular. He's been acting really strange." My mom's response was to caution me against overthinking things. "Oh, Emma, don't let your imagination get the better of you." But it was too late for reassurances. The pieces were too aligned, pointing to something more than just a misunderstanding or paranoia on my part. Understanding my mom's reluctance to believe the unsettling truth about Justin, I pressed on, determined to shed light on the situation. "Mom, I get that you have feelings for him, but Justin crossed a line. He didn't just ask for the inheritance money, he demanded it for Michael, claiming it was for education purposes. There's something off about this whole thing, and he even became aggressive when I mentioned bringing it up to you," I explained, my resolve hardening despite her skepticism. My mom hesitated, torn by her emotions and the troubling accusations against the man she cared for. "I'm struggling to grasp this, Emma. I feel like we need more evidence to make sense of it all." "Don't worry, Mom. I'll find the proof we need," I assured her, even though she wasn't entirely convinced. The idea that Justin had somehow bewitched her with his manipulations nagged at me, but I knew I needed solid evidence to reveal the true nature of his intentions. Later that night, I found myself scouring the family computer for any clues that could unravel the mystery of Justin's behavior. Fortune seemed to be on my side when I discovered that Justin had carelessly left his email account open. What I found was a revelation. Emails exchanged between Justin and a woman named Martha painted a clear picture of deceit. These messages were far from innocent, hinting strongly at an affair. But it was the content discussing plans for a divorce and a future together, fueled by an influx of money from a dubious business venture, that caught my attention. Justin may have been cautious not to detail any illegal activities, but his indiscretion and betrayal were blatant. Armed with this information and determined to uncover more, I decided to approach Michael, hoping he might inadvertently reveal more about their plans. I initiated a casual conversation with him, subtly turning on my phone's recorder to capture our exchange. "Hey, Michael," I greeted him, feigning cheerfulness. "Hello, Emma," he replied, seemingly in a good mood. "You seem happy today." "Why not? It's a beautiful day," I said, steering the conversation in hopes of discovering more about Justin's schemes and their impact on my family. I approached Michael with a sense of curiosity, pretending to consider their request for the inheritance money. I've been thinking a lot about what you and Justin mentioned. I'm actually considering giving you the money for your college, I told him, watching his reaction closely. Really? That's amazing. I'll let him know right away, Michael said, his excitement palpable. Hold on, not so quickly. Before anything happens, I need to confirm something. This money is specifically for your college tuition, correct? I pressed on, trying to gauge his sincerity. Yes, of course, for my college tuition. Michael stuttered a bit, perhaps caught off guard by my questioning. And you're sure about this? What about Martha? Is she serious about it too? I prodded, dropping the name I had discovered in Justin's emails. Martha? Who's Martha? Michael faltered, a clear sign of confusion crossing his face. Oh, she's a student advisor at the college. He quickly covered up, but it was too late. Unbeknownst to us, Justin had silently entered the room, and his presence was intimidating. I don't appreciate you questioning my son like this, he interjected, his tone stern. I was merely inquiring about the intended use of my inheritance. After all, if I'm considering giving it away, I'd like to know it's for a good reason, I explained, trying to maintain my composure. Justin's retort was sharp. Once you give money away, it's no longer yours to worry about. It's not your business anymore. The audacity of his statement took me aback, especially considering his next threat. You're not just thinking about giving us the money. You will give it to us, or you'll find yourself out of this house. Michael looked as shocked as I felt by his father's escalation. Dad, this isn't what we agreed on, he began, only to be cut off by Justin asserting his authority in a domineering tone, threatening my place in the home if I didn't comply with his demands. Choosing silence as my response, I retreated to my room, all the while recording the entire confrontation. Justin was unaware that his true colors were being captured for posterity. Once safe in my room, I began compiling all the evidence I had against him. It felt like I was a detective in one of those crime shows, piecing together the puzzle. I had audio recordings and email screenshots, all pointing to Justin's deceitful behavior and his affair with Martha. Feeling the weight of my findings, I decided it was time to bring my mom into the loop. Hello, Mom, I started, my voice laced with urgency. Hey, sweetheart, how are you? She responded, unaware of the storm brewing. Mom, are you sitting down? I have something important to tell you, and it's not easy, I said, preparing her for the revelations that were to come. Breaking the news to my mom was tough. I started by telling her about the unsettling discoveries I had made. Initially, she found it hard to believe, but when I played the audio recording of my conversation with Justin, her denial began to fade, replaced by a mixture of shock and heartbreak. Why would he do such things? Why be so cruel? She questioned, her voice breaking with every word. It's hard to say, but we're dealing with someone who doesn't have our best interests at heart. I replied gently, trying to be as supportive as I could despite the harsh reality. I hate to say it, but he's not the person we thought he was. Hearing the truth straight from the recording was a turning point for her. This is unacceptable. I can't believe I wasn't here to protect you from them, she said, determination taking over her initial shock. Stay put. I'm coming back immediately, and yes, I've locked my door, I reassured her. My mom's protective instincts kicked in full force. She was ready to confront Justin and ensure he regretted his actions. He's going to realize he picked the wrong family to mess with, she said, a fierce resolve in her voice. When she arrived, it was a moment filled with mixed emotions. We hugged tightly, sharing tears over the betrayal and the tough decisions that lay ahead. Yet there was also a sense of relief and unity. Together, we spent hours devising a plan, ready to face the ordeal as a team. In the days that followed, Justin was perplexed by my mom's unexpected return and her cold demeanor towards him. He tried to play it off with a veneer of cheerfulness, likely hoping to charm his way out of any suspicions. But my mom was unmoved. She saw right through his act and was gearing up to take decisive action. Concerned about the true nature of Justin's business and the potential misuse of the inheritance, my mom decided it was time to bring in professional help. She hired a private investigator to dig deeper into Justin's activities and the mysterious emails. The thought of him planning to misuse the money for unethical purposes infuriated her further, and she was adamant about protecting us from his deceit. The private investigator's findings confirmed our worst fears and shed new light on Justin's scheming. My mom briefed me on the details, and together, we prepared for the next steps. It was clear that this was more than just a family dispute. It was about standing up against manipulation and ensuring justice was served. In that moment, the atmosphere in the room was charged with tension, a palpable mix of disbelief and resolve hanging between us. Justin's usual confidence seemed to falter under the weight of our accusations, his eyes darting from the camera to my mom, then to me, as if searching for some escape or loophole in our confrontation. "You can't possibly understand what you're talking about. This is ridiculous," Justin tried to deflect, but his voice lacked its usual assertiveness. It was clear the tables had turned, and the power he once wielded so effortlessly was slipping through his fingers. Michael, caught in the middle of this familial storm, looked from his father to us, his expression a mix of confusion and realization. Perhaps for the first time, he began to see the man he called father for who he truly was, a revelation that seemed to shake him to his core. My mom, with a steely gaze fixed on Justin, stepped forward. "Not only do we understand, but we have proof. Emails, recordings. You've been planning to launder money through a laundromat, all the while involving yourself with a known criminal. Martha's record speaks volumes, and your plans for this business are clear as day." Justin's attempts to maintain any semblance of innocence were crumbling fast. "You have no idea what you're getting into. This is my business, my life. You can't just barge in and—" "But we can, and we are," I interjected, bolstering my mom's stance. "This isn't just about your business, Justin. This is about our lives, our safety. You've brought danger and illegality into our home, and we won't stand by and watch you destroy everything for your selfish gains." The evidence was indisputable. The audio recordings of Justin's and Michael's conversations, the emails outlining their plans, and now their caught-in-the-act admissions made it impossible for Justin to deny any longer. The camera in my hands, still rolling, captured every word, every denial, and every excuse, ensuring there was no way out for him. "You think you're clever, recording this, gathering evidence?" Justin sneered, his composure cracking further. "You may think you've won, but—" "We don't think we've won, Justin. We know we have." My mom cut him off, her voice firm and unwavering. "What you've done is not only morally reprehensible, but illegal. You've endangered this family, exploited my trust, and now you're going to face the consequences of your actions." As the confrontation reached its climax, Michael finally spoke up, his voice barely above a whisper. "Dad, how could you?" It was a question loaded with betrayal and disillusionment, aimed at the man he had looked up to. The room fell silent for a moment, the gravity of the situation settling in. Justin, now devoid of his usual bravado, seemed to shrink before us. It was clear the game was over. My mom's next steps were clear legal action, separation, and ensuring the safety and security of our family. As we left Justin to contemplate the ruin of his own making, my mom and I knew the road ahead would be difficult. But with the truth on our side and the evidence in hand, we were ready to face whatever came next, together. The veil had indeed been lifted, and in its place, a newfound strength and unity emerged between us, ready to rebuild and move forward from the shadows of deceit. "I'm clueless about what you're hinting at. Why don't we call Martha? Maybe she can shed some light on this, huh?" Justin tried to deflect, with a tone that barely masked his panic. You two think you've got it all figured out. Martha is just a friend, he added, but the confidence he attempted to project was waning rapidly. The compromising pictures we found tell a different story, I countered, my voice steady despite the tumult of emotions inside me. And seriously, who uses email for affairs these days? It's absurdly reckless. Justin, now visibly flustered, shot back, "You went through my personal stuff. That's outrageous." "No, Justin. What's outrageous is you," my mom interjected, her voice rising in indignation. "How dare you repeatedly threaten my daughter over money that rightfully belongs to her? How dare you use threats to attempt to evict her from her own home? Your actions are indefensible. How dare you involve your son in your reckless plans, putting him at risk? And your audacity to plan using that money for illegal ventures is beyond forgiveness. Now, when it's time to account for your actions, you suddenly fall silent?" She continued, her words cutting through the air like a blade. Justin, cornered and desperate, spat out, "Get that camera out of my face," as he lunged towards me in a blind rage. I dodged his attempt swiftly, his aggressive move only adding to the gravity of his unraveling. "You're thinking of attacking my daughter now? Do you have any idea how much trouble you're in?" my mom exclaimed, her tone a mix of disbelief and anger. Justin, defiant to the end, sneered, "You think you understand the situation? You know nothing." "Well, let's see if the police agree with you. They should be arriving any minute now," I declared, watching closely for his reaction. "Police? You wouldn't dare," he blustered, but his bravado was crumbling. As the sound of police sirens grew closer, Justin's usual smugness disappeared, replaced by a look of sheer terror. It was the first time I'd seen him stripped of his arrogance, revealing the coward beneath. "Please, Mary, let's not escalate this. I can explain," he pleaded, his voice cracking under the strain. "Save your explanations for the judge, you despicable man," my mom retorted with a disgust that left no room for ambiguity. "And Michael, don't think you're absolved from responsibility. You're both going to face the consequences of your actions." As the police arrived, it was clear that this was the beginning of the end for Justin's schemes. My mom's fierce declaration echoed in the air, marking a pivotal moment of justice for us. "This should teach you a lesson about disrespecting my daughter and me. You're not too young to understand the difference between right and wrong, and it's time for you to face the consequences," my mom asserted, her tone firm but fair. "Yes, Mom, I understand," I replied, knowing that I had crossed a line and needed to accept the repercussions of my actions. "Come on, Grace, don't you think this is all a bit too extreme?" Justin tried to argue, seeking some leniency. "Quite the opposite. This is barely scratching the surface of what's deserved," my mom countered, her resolve unwavering. "Emma, how's our live stream doing?" my mom inquired, a modern twist to ensuring that justice was seen to be done. "We've got over 5,000 viewers tuning in. This is making waves," I informed her, amazed at the digital audience we had attracted. And just to make things perfectly clear, my mom turned towards Justin, her voice steady and clear, "I want a divorce." "Yes, you heard it right, folks," she announced, making sure the live stream caught every word. The fallout from the live stream was monumental. The drama unfolded in real time for over 5,000 witnesses, and the story quickly spread to local newspapers and tabloids. Being at the center of this whirlwind was surreal, witnessing the swift downfall of Justin, my soon-to-be ex-stepfather, and the complicit Michael. The satisfaction of seeing justice served was palpable. Justin's world unraveled as he lost his job, friends, and even the support of some family members who chose to distance themselves. Facing serious charges, Justin's future hung in the balance, with the potential of spending up to 22 years behind bars if the court found him guilty. Meanwhile, Martha, his partner in crime, was also discovered by the police after attempting to lay low during the scandal. She too faced similar charges, her future uncertain. Through the turmoil, my mom and I found strength in each other. Our bond deepened as we navigated through the chaos, coming out stronger on the other side. Weekends were now our time to unwind on the patio, drinks in hand, reflecting on the absurdity and malevolence of Justin's actions. It was a period of healing and reaffirmation for us both. Good riddance, we toast, a shared sentiment of relief and closure. Good riddance, indeed.